Hey, what's up guys? This video is going to show you how to find the mean and standard deviation from a probability distribution. So first let's understand what that is. Probability distribution is when you have a random variable and we use the capital letters. In this case I'm using a capital letter X to represent a random variable. And it's just a variable that gives you guys values, and those values can be randomly anytime you guys have the X or the random variable X. Each random value or the value of X is going to have a probability when you guys try to find the probability of choosing or getting one of those random numbers. So we have a table here and we have the values of X or random variables of X on the top and the probability for each value on the bottom. Now the mean can also be the expected value of the probability distribution. So sometimes you might hear that phrase expected value, or you might hear the mean of the probability distribution. So the formula to find the mean is you take the sum of every random variable times its probability, and you guys are going to find the mean. So in other words, you need to multiply X, the value of X, times the probability, plus the next random variable X times its probability, plus the next one and the next one and the next one. That's going to be your mean. The standard deviation is when you guys take the square root of the sum of every single random variable minus the mean of the probability distribution squared times the probability for that specific random variable. So this one's a little bit longer, and when you set it up it can be long, the numbers and the summation and the square root. So using the calculator, it's a lot faster to find the mean and standard deviation. Just a little extra to show you guys. Remember, keep in mind that sigma of X, this is a random variable, is a capital X, is when you take the square root of the variance. Now the variance is when you have a square here, sigma squared of X. So the variance is the same formula. Notice that inside of the radical you guys have the same formula, but for the variance we are not using the square root. So that's the actual variance of the probability distribution. So how much variation does the probability distribution have? Well, this is going to tell you guys that value or the amount. Now with the calculator, you guys are going to put in your information or your data. You have the table for the probability distribution, and I have those values in the calculator already. So you guys need to go to your list, stats, and you're going to edit your list right there. And you're going to use two lists. List 1 is going to be your random variables or the values of X. So I have 1 all the way to 5, and that's what's given to us, 1 to 5. And list 2, I'm going to put the probability for each random variable. So notice that every single random variable has a different probability. So I have two lists. Doesn't matter what list you guys use. You can use list 2, list 3, list 3, list 4. You just have to keep in mind what list you are using. But one of them has to be your X values or your random variables, and the other one the probability. Now to find the mean and the standard deviation for this distribution, you guys are going to go to the stats. You're going to go to calculate, and number 1, it says one variable stats. You're going to choose that one. Now for this one, you are going to put the list where it says here list, where are your random variables. So my random variables, the values of X, are in my list 1. So that's what you're going to use. You're going to put list is your random variables, and the frequency list, that's going to be for your probability of the random variables. So I have the probabilities in list 2. So once again, the list here is going to be your random variables, and the frequency list is going to be your probability of the random variables. You're going to calculate, and we have the mean and we have the standard deviation. So here we have X bar, that's going to be the mean, or in the probability distributions we can also say the expected value. So my mean of that probability distribution is 1.457, and down here we have sigma of X. Notice we don't have S of X, that's empty. So we're going to look at sigma, which is the standard deviation. Do not get confused with the variance. This is not the variance, this is the standard deviation. So I'm going to write that down in my paper. So I have those two values now from the calculator. So the mean of the random variable of x is 1.457, and the standard deviation of that random variable of x equals, and I'm going to round to 3 decimal places, 0.671. Notice that we have a 9 after the 0, so you can round up to 1. And this is 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3. So my standard deviation is 0.671. So we can say that if we choose a random number or a random variable from this probability distribution, we are expecting the average or the mean is going to be about 1.457. So that's going to be your center of the distribution, the mean, which is the expected value. The standard deviation is going to be the typical value that the random variables vary from the mean. So if you guys choose a random variable or random value, typically this is going to vary, the number is going to vary about 0.671 from the mean. So we have random variables using a probability distribution to find the expected value or the mean and the standard deviation. It's a lot faster to use the calculator. You can use the formula as well, but when you guys substitute numbers into the formula, sometimes there might be a little bit of error, and that gets you in big trouble because you're not going to get the right answer. To get the variance, let's go back to that sigma squared, which is the variance. You need to square the standard deviation to find out what is the variance. So if you put that in the calculator squared, and I'm going to do that right now to show you guys, I'm going to have 0.671, and you square it, and that is your variance, 0.450241. So let me write that down here so we know that the variance of the random variable is 0.450241. All right, guys. So the only thing you guys have to do is practice using the calculator, and that's going to help you guys learn how to use the calculator every time you guys have to find the mean or the standard deviation. If you guys like my videos, make sure you guys click that like button, and you guys can also subscribe to my channel. Make sure you guys practice, and I'll see you guys later.